Hey guys, welcome back to Zane Customs. This week I'm going to be working on some colored pencil drawings. So here's the photo that I'm copying. I just found this picture online and thought it looked cool, thought it'd be something fun. And the main reason I'm doing this, and the other drawings that you'll see in future videos, is because my aunt does a thing called the trade and barter, where she basically invites all of our family members over and you bring stuff you either made or money, whatever you want, and then you can trade and barter them. It's just kind of a fun thing to teach you how people used to trade things back in the day before money was really a thing. And so I like to do a lot of stuff for it. And one of the things I like doing are these colored pencil drawings. And in next week's video, you'll see some of the watercolor drawings I did for it. But this week I'm just focusing on the two colored pencil drawings I did for it. This one of a ring wraith from Lord of the Rings, and then Iron Man, when you'll see at the end of the video. And it's a lot of fun. I think colored pencils and watercolors are my favorite art form, aside from digital art, which I'm still fairly new to. Haven't done a ton of it, compared to traditional art, but it's starting to make its way up there. But as far as traditional art, colored pencil is my favorite way to go. And unfortunately, I have a really crappy old iPhone that my brother gave me. It's really not very nice, but I just use it for recording purposes. But it doesn't have a lot of space, so I have to record all these videos in time-lapse form. So when I actually finished all this, it was a couple hours of drawing, and it time-lapsed down to 1 minute. So I put it into my editing software and tried to stretch it out to make it a little bit longer, so I actually have some time to talk about what I'm doing. But doing that, it just starts to get choppy and look really weird. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of video to actually go over, and it goes pretty quick because, again, I had to record it in the time-lapse feature on iPhone. But in the future, I'll try and record them straight all the way through, just normal recording settings, and then edit it down from there. Because, yeah, like I said, this was a couple hours of work, and I think in the end I was able to get it to like 5 minutes, but not really too great. And here I'm just using a white paint marker, because the white colored pencil isn't a strong enough white for me a lot of the times, especially when the whole thing's white and you use a lot of white throughout your whole drawing. It doesn't look as good for like the highlights or on his gauntlets or his sword. You want those parts to be the whitest parts of the object or of the painting, excuse me. And there's a lot of other white in the drawing, so it looked a little washed out. So I like to use these white paint markers because it's like as white can get, and really helps those highlights pop. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, it's a couple hours worth of work, and unfortunately got condensed down pretty bad. But here is the Iron Man drawing I'm going to be doing. I just got these two photos online and then edited them together in one of my drawing apps. And then here I already have the sketch drawn out on some mat board, and I went ahead and put some painter's tape down because I didn't want to blur the lines between the Mark 1 armor, and I think this one is like Mark 50 or something like that. I can't. It's the one from Infinity War. It's way up there. Yeah, I didn't want to blur the lines between them, so putting that painter's tape on there helped me keep a nice crisp straight line between them. And yeah, like I said, unfortunately I recorded both these with the time-lapse feature on an iPhone, so it got condensed down way more than I wanted it to. But yeah, in the future hopefully I can do better. And also I don't record myself drawing or painting or anything traditionally very often, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But hopefully in the future, when I do any videos like this recording myself painting or anything, I'll get a better setup and a better camera setup too. And the reason I started off with Mark 1 side of this piece was because I just came off of the ring wraith drawing, and like I said, I don't do a lot of traditional anymore. Most of it's digital just because it takes a lot of time, but I really like doing it. But getting back into it after probably a year since the last time I've drawn like this, and it usually takes me a minute to get back into it. So I just did the whole ring wraith, and that one's all black and white. So going into this one, it's pretty much all black and white with some hints of blue in the reflections. So it was easy for me to just jump in and keep the same colors going, and help me get more used to what I'm doing before I move over to the other side of which is red and golden, things like that. And now you can see me working on with the same white paint marker that I used in my ring wraith piece. And there I just pulled the tape off and switched it to the other side. But one thing I did off camera that I didn't show is I actually sprayed some workable fixative onto the Mark 1 side, the already finished drawn side of the piece. And that is because when I pull this painter's tape off, I don't want it to pull any of the color off with it. And that workable fixative is basically like a clear coat. It comes in a spray can and you just spray on there. It's like a clear coat, but you can spray it and you can keep drawing on top of it. And when it comes to doing colored pencil artwork, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Obviously it just comes down to personal preference, but the really, really good colored pencil artists out there, I've seen a lot of their work where I didn't realize right off the bat that it was colored pencil, because they just blend the colors together so well, and that's not really my style. I do like the sketchy look, but like I mentioned, I'm doing this for the trade and barter, which is a thing my family does. So I didn't end up having a lot of time for it because I was working on other projects, so I had to kind of bust these out in the last few days before it. And ideally I would spend a lot more time, and it would still have a little bit of a sketchy look, but the colors would be blended a bit more, and also the colors would be more accurate. I think that they look fine, but if you compare it to the actual photo, they are off a little bit. But again, that's just something that comes with me not having as much time, so I was kind of rushing through these. But I ended up really liking the red side of this piece. The Mark 1 side I think looks good, and especially if you just take a step back and look at it, it looks a lot better. But up close it looks a little too sketchy for my taste. I wish I would have had more time to blend the colors a little bit better. And here, just using that same paint marker again to really bring out some of those white highlights. You could really see it on this side, where there's not a lot of white on this side compared to the ring wraith or the Mark 1 side of this piece. And it makes the whole piece look a lot better in my opinion. I'll usually do this and then do one last piece with a black colored pencil, or excuse me, one last pass with a black colored pencil to clean up any rough edges or anything like that. Like I mentioned earlier, I really do enjoy traditional art, and doing this made me want to get back into it and do it more. And hopefully in the future, if I do any videos around that, I can get a better recording setup, because this video, the recording was a little rough. Here's the finished pieces. Like I said, they look a little rough up close, a little too sketchy. Did have to rush them a little bit, but when you take a step back, they look really good in my opinion. I'm actually happy with them, even though they are a little rough. I'm happy with the way they turned out, considering how much time I had and everything. I just want to say I appreciate anybody that's willing to watch all the way to the end of the video. I super appreciate it, and appreciate anybody that's willing to like, comment, or subscribe. And yeah, I put out a new video every week, so stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.